Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world one book at a time.
This episode uses the film The Truman Show as a case study to examine how manufactured reality is stabilized through routine, comfort, and narrative control.
You know, I have to say, when I saw The Truman Show on our list, my first thought was just, Jim Carrey. The funny walks, the catchphrases, good morning, and all that. It's one of those films I think everyone feels like they know, but then digging into the material you sent over, especially looking at it as a system, I feel like I've been watching a totally different movie my whole life.
That's the most common reaction, I think. We all remember the charm, the sort of bright primary colors of it all.
Yeah.
But if you actually strip away that sitcom lighting, what you're left with is, well, it's basically a horror movie about containment. It's a blueprint for a cage.
A cage with no bars.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. We are not doing a film review. We're not, going to talk about Peter Weir's direction, even though it's brilliant.
Right.
We are treating this film strictly as a case study. We want to understand the mechanics of that cage.
And to do that, we're bringing in some serious analytical tools. We're not just riffing. We're looking at this through two really specific lenses. First up is Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Right, which is just the classic text on how entertainment shapes, well, everything. Postman gives us the why. Why does this prison look and feel like a TV show?
And then for the how, we're using Shoshana Zuboff's The Age of Surveillance Capitalism.
Which is a monster of a book.
It is a beast, a doorstop, but it's essential.
Absolutely. Zuboff gives us the modern vocabulary for how systems can track, predict, and sort of herd human behavior. So our mission, really, is to put these three things in conversation: the film, Postman, and Zuboff.
To answer one big question, right?
Yeah. How do you build a reality that's so convincing, so comfortable, that the subject actually consents to his own imprisonment without even realizing it's happening?
It's that classic golden cage problem.
I think it's even deeper. It's about the architecture of control itself. We need to get past just talking about the plot and ask the systemic question. How does a power structure maintain control when it can't use brute force?
Right. If you're not using soldiers and secret police, what do you use?
Exactly.
And that takes us straight to this famous idea from Postman, right at the start of his book. He draws a line between George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. I think for most people, those two just get lumped together as dystopia, but Postman says they're opposites.
They are completely opposed visions. I mean, Orwell was writing with the shadow of Stalinism looming over him. He feared a world where the state would ban books.
Totalitarianism, the boot on the face.
The boot on the face forever. Control through pain, through fear, through scarcity. It's control with a stick.
Okay.
But Huxley saw a totally different threat. He wasn't afraid they'd ban books. He was afraid no one would even want to read a book because they'd be too busy with, trivial distractions.
So he feared the infliction of pleasure, not pain.
Precisely. Orwell warns us about a prison that we will hate. Huxley warns us about a prison that we will come to love.
We'll love our own oppression.
Because it will be packaged as entertainment, as comfort, as convenience. And when you look at Sea Haven, the town Truman lives in, I mean, it is pure Huxley.
Oh, absolutely. The place is idyllic. Perfect lawns, perfect weather, everyone is smiling and friendly. It's the 1950s American dream in a snow globe.
Right. If that's a prison, it's an incredibly pleasant one.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the trap. Truman isn't being starved or beaten. He is, you could argue, living a safer, more comfortable life than the people watching him on TV. But he has zero agency.
And this is where Zuboff's idea of instrumentarian power comes in.
Yes.
Okay, let's pause on that because instrumentarian sounds academic. How is that different from Christoph just being a dictator? I mean, the guy literally controls the sun and the moon. Isn't that totalitarianism?
It looks like it on the surface, but the goal is different. A totalitarian power, like in 1984, wants to own your soul. It needs you to believe the ideology. Yeah. It wants to change who you are.
It wants your thoughts.
Your thoughts, your beliefs, your very being. Instrumentarian power, which is what Zuboff says companies like Google and Facebook practice.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about your soul. It doesn't care what you believe. It just wants to shape what you do.
So it's all about behavior.
It is purely behavioral. It wants what she calls guaranteed outcomes. Christoph doesn't need Truman to believe in the show's mission. He just needs Truman to follow the script, to wake up on time, drive to work, and not try to get on a boat.
Keep the variable predictable.
As long as the behavior is predictable, the system is stable and profitable, that's all that matters.
That phrase, guaranteed outcomes, it just clicks everything into place when you rewatch the movie. You see it in the control room. Christoph is conducting the day like an orchestra, and Truman is he's the first violin. He's not a person.
He's a component in a machine that is designed for smooth operation. Any deviation is a problem to be solved.
So how do they do it? How do they manufacture this reality to keep him in line? Let's get into the mechanics.
Well, the first layer is the environment itself, the set.
The managed normal.
Right. Consistency creates legitimacy. The reason Truman believes this world is real for 30 years is because it's so incredibly consistent. It creates a seamless pattern.
Our brains are pattern recognition machines, right? We look for stability.
Exactly. And Sea Haven is nothing but stability. The sun rises at the exact same time. The guy on the bike loops around the block at the same moment. The neighbor says the same thing every morning. After a while, your brain just accepts it. It says, okay, this is reliable. This is reality.
It's hypnotic. The first 20 minutes of the film have this metronome quality to them, that good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It's a loop.
And that loop is a sedative. In Zuboff's terms, this is the prediction imperative in action. The system needs certainty. Any anomaly, any glitch is a threat. So the whole environment is an architecture of sameness designed to prevent erratic behavior.
But it's more than just being repetitive. The system frames all this control as an act of love, of care, which brings us to Christoph. He's the villain, but he doesn't act like one. He's got this soft voice. He wears a beret. He acts like an artist, a father.
He absolutely sees himself as a benevolent creator. There's that one moment, it might be the most disturbing shot in the whole film.
The moon.
Yeah, he's in the control room. This is inside the fake moon, looking down at this giant screen of Truman sleeping. And he reaches out and strokes the giant pixelated image of Truman's face.
It's so creepy. It's both incredibly intimate and completely possessive.
And that is the central mechanism right there. Yeah. Domination hiding behind benevolence. The entire system justifies its existence by saying the world outside is chaotic and dangerous.
He says it, doesn't he? The world, the place you live in, is the sick place. Sea Haven is the way the world should be.
Yes. He's convinced himself. And he wants to convince Truman that this prison is actually a sanctuary, that he's protecting him.
It's the ultimate, I'm doing this for your own good argument.
And it's a powerful argument.
Yeah.
Because the real world is messy. It is painful. The system offers a simple trade. Give me your autonomy, and I will give you safety. I will give you certainty.
Okay, but Truman is still human. He's curious. So safety alone can't be enough. They also have to actively use fear.
Right.
And that's the water.
The water is the electric fence. The system is smart.
Yeah.
The producers knew that if you build a physical wall, a man's first instinct is to try and climb it.
You'll just stare at the bars all day.
Right. But if you put that man on an island and make him terrified of the ocean, he'll never even try to leave. He'll police himself.
So they engineered a trauma. It's so dark. They hire an actor to play his father. They take him out on a boat as a child, and they fake a drowning in a storm.
It's what we could call fear as boundary control. The barrier isn't physical, it's psychological. It's been installed inside Truman's mind. He consents to staying put, not because he loves the island, but because the alternative triggers a genuine panic attack.
It's brutally effective. For nearly 30 years it works.
Yeah.
But then there's the social layer. Because even a deep-seated fear can be overcome, so when doubt creeps in, you need your friends to pull you back.
The human firewall. This might be the most insidious part of the whole setup. When Truman starts to wake up, he sees the light fall from the sky, he hears the radio glitch. He doesn't go to the authorities, he goes to his best friend.
Marlon. His friend since childhood. Or so he thinks.
Right, and you get that critical scene on the bridge. Truman's just spiraling out. He's saying, maybe I'm going crazy. He's getting so close to the truth. And Marlon sits him down with a six-pack.
Looks him right in the eye.
And says that line, the last thing I would ever do is lie to you.
Well, Christoph is feeding him the words through an earpiece. It's the ultimate betrayal.
It's pure gaslighting. But in Zuboff's framework, this is a perfect example of tuning. When the subject, Truman, deviates from the predicted path, the system intervenes socially to herd him back. It weaponizes trust. It weaponizes intimacy.
Because it's one thing to doubt the world, it's another thing to doubt your best friend.
To get to the truth, Truman has to accept that his entire life, his wife, his mother, his best friend, it's all a lie. That is an almost impossible psychological price to pay.
So you have all these layers of control. So let's ask the bigger question, why? Why build this? Why spend, as they say, the GDP of a small country to watch one guy live his life? We have to follow the money.
Of course. Systems run on fuel. The fuel for Sea Haven is commerce. It's an economy built on attention.
This brings us back to Zuboff and behavioral surplus. Can we break that down? It's a heavy concept.
Look, sure. So in old school capitalism, you make a product, say a shoe. You sell the shoe, that's it. In surveillance capitalism, which is a perfect model for the Truman Show, the human experience is the product. Behavioral surplus is all the extra data that's skimmed off a person's life that isn't necessary for the service but is incredibly valuable for predicting and selling their future. Truman's life is the raw material.
And his emotions, his relationships, his first kiss, they're all harvested and packaged for sale.
And sold quite literally through product placement, which honestly is some of the darkest comedy in the film.
Oh, it's brilliant. Product placement as reality glue, you called it.
Yeah.
The scene in the kitchen with his wife, Meryl. Truman is having an existential breakdown, and she just pivots, holds up a jar of cocoa, and chirps, "Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink?"
It's so jarring. So absurd. She's giving a commercial read while her husband is falling apart.
And smiling like she's in a catalog.
But from the system's point of view, Meryl isn't failing as a wife in that moment. She is succeeding as an advertising platform. In this kind of system, there is no line between private life and commercial opportunity. Every moment can be monetized.
But Truman sees it. He looks at her like she's speaking in another language.
Because it's a glitch. The commercial logic has just broken through the intimacy logic. He realizes her behavior doesn't fit the context of a marriage. It fits the context of a transaction.
And then, of course, there's us, the audience, the people in the bars, the man in the bathtub. They're watching 24/7. What's their role in all this?
They're the battery. The system can't run without them. But Postman's analysis is key here. They aren't watching because they're monsters who enjoy seeing a man suffer.
No.
They're watching because they are amused. This is what Postman called the peekaboo world. Television turns everything, tragedy, joy, politics, into context-free entertainment.
So they see Truman in pain, and they might feel sympathy for a second.
But they don't do anything. They don't protest. They don't turn it off. They just keep watching, waiting to see what happens next.
They're rooting for him, but they also need the show to continue.
It's complicity through spectatorship. As long as we're entertained, we not only tolerate the cage, we actively fund it with our attention.
Okay, so we've mapped the system in the film. It's this closed loop of surveillance, behavioral control, commerce. But here's the pivot. We're not living in a giant dome, I hope. So why does any of this matter to us right now?
This is where we have to translate the metaphor. Zuboff's core argument is that we are moving from a world that was automating information to one that is now automating us.
Automating us? What does that mean? Making us predictable, like robots?
It means that the big tech platforms, our modern-day Christophs, want the exact same thing he wanted, guaranteed outcomes. They want to know, with a high degree of certainty, that if they nudge you in a certain way, you will click the ad. You will buy the product, you will feel a certain emotion.
So it's not a director in a fake moon shouting, "Cue the rain."
No, it's an algorithm in a server farm, silently adjusting your news feed to shape your mood and guide your choices. The method is digital, not physical, but the goal, a curated reality that narrows your options, is identical.
The illusion of free will. I feel like I can go anywhere online, but really I'm just choosing from a menu that's been prepared for me.
Precisely. And this leads to what Zuboff calls the loss of the right to the future tense.
Okay, I struggled with that one. The right to the future tense. Unpack that.
Let's go back to Truman. Does he have a future?
No, not a real one. His future is a production schedule. It's already been written.
Exactly. He has no future tense because he can't make a promise to the future that is his own. It's been scripted. Zuboff argues that when these systems know us better than we know ourselves, they can predict our behavior so accurately that they effectively steal our open future.
Wow.
If the system can predict what you will do and then intervene to ensure you do it, you are no longer the author of your life. You're just living out the script.
You become an actor who thinks they're improvising.
You become, as she puts it, an exile from your own behavior.
That's a heavy thought. It really makes you look at your phone differently. It's not just a tool, it's a director.
And just like Christoph, the system sells itself on safety and convenience. We know what you want before you do. That's the pitch.
And the cost is autonomy. The cost is what Zuboff calls the right to sanctuary.
Yes, the right to have a private space, a space in your own mind where you aren't being measured, analyzed, and nudged for profit.
So if we're all in our own sea havens, how do we get out? Truman doesn't read a book and get radicalized. He gets out because the system starts to to glitch.
The glitches are everything. These systems of control depend on being invisible, on being seamless. As long as the illusion is perfect, we stay compliant. But when a stage light falls out of a clear blue sky,
That opening scene, a spotlight labeled serious, just smashes on the pavement in front of him.
that's the first crack in the reality. And what does he do? He doesn't ignore it. He picks it up. He looks at the sky. He starts to ask questions. That's the beginning of awareness.
And then my favorite glitch, the rain, where it's only raining on him in this perfect tiny little column of water. He steps out of it. He's dry. He steps back in. He's soaked.
It's funny, it's slapstick, but it's a profound moment. It reveals the mechanism. It shows him the frame. Postman said we have to learn to stop looking through media and start looking at it. Truman finally sees the glass.
And once he sees it, he can't unsee it. He starts pushing. He starts creating his own chaos to test the system.
He becomes an anomaly, and the system panics. It throws everything at him, a traffic jam, a forest fire, a fake nuclear meltdown, all to force him back into his predictable loop.
But the fear doesn't work anymore. Which brings us to the end, the boat.
That whole sequence is just,
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece. He gets on a boat, the Santa Maria no less, conquering his deepest, most engineered fear.
And he just sails for the horizon, and you see Kristoff in the control room just lose it. He screams, "Cue the storm!"
And this is critical. When control through comfort fails, the system will revert to brute force. They try to terrify him. They try to drown him.
And he lashes himself to the boat and screams at the sky, "Is that the best you can do? You're gonna have to kill me."
That's the moment he breaks the bargain. He is explicitly choosing the risk of death over the guarantee of a safe life in a cage. Kristoff has to back down.
And then silence. The storm stops,
What?
and the boat just sails forward into this beautiful, calm sea, and then thud.
That sound. The hollow thud of the boat hitting the sky, it's devastating. The realization that the infinite horizon was just a painted wall all along.
He gets out, he touches the wall, and he finds the stairs leading to a door marked exit.
And that's when Kristoff finally speaks to him directly, the voice of God from the heavens, making his final sales pitch.
He says, "There's no more truth out there than in the world I created for you. But in my world, you have nothing to fear."
It's the ultimate temptation, the utopia of certainty. Stay here and nothing bad will ever happen to you.
And Truman just smiles. And he uses the system's own language against it. "In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night."
It's perfect. He takes the symbol of his compliance and turns it into an act of rebellion. A goodbye.
He takes a bow, and he steps through the door.
Into total darkness. And this is so important. The door isn't filled with light. It's a black rectangle. We don't see what's next.
Why is that so crucial?
Because freedom is not a happy ending. Freedom is uncertainty. It's risk. It's the unknown. The system, Kristoff's system and ours, cannot follow you there. Its power ends where the script ends. Truman chooses the anxiety of the unknown over the comfort of the known.
So to be free, you have to be willing to sail until you hit the wall.
And then have the courage to walk through the door, even if you don't know what's on the other side.
It makes you wonder what comfortable realities we're all living in, what walls we might hit if we just kept sailing.
And whether we'd be brave enough to find the exit. That's the question the film leaves us with. It's a challenge, not an answer.
A challenge to reclaim our own future tense. I think that's a perfect place to wrap. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis and Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a shorter visual overview of this topic, see the mini-explainer linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.